This is VOA News. I'm Marissa Melton. Voters in Hong Kong have voted in record numbers for district elections after 6 months of protest. Reuters David Doyle has more.
People in Hong Kong voted in record numbers on Sunday in district elections seen as a barometer of support for city leader Carrie Lam, following 6 months of at times violent protests. On the city's relatively calm streets, some voters said the high turnout could only boost the pro-democracy movement, which has some young candidates battling for once uncontested seats dominated by pro-Beijing candidates. Under Hong Kong's electoral system, 117 district councilors will sit on the committee that selects Hong Kong's chief executive, meaning a big win for those aligned with the anti-government protests could translate into more power to pick the city's next leader.
That's Reuters' David Doyle reporting. The Secretary of the U.S. Navy has resigned over the case of a SEAL facing disciplinary proceedings. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
The Pentagon says Navy Secretary Richard Spencer submitted his resignation at the request of Defense Secretary Mark Esper, who it says had lost trust and confidence in Spencer because of a lack of candor over conversations with the White House involving the handling of the SEAL case. President Trump tweeted last Thursday that he would not let the Navy take away Chief Petty Officer Edward Gallagher's Trident pin, which designates him a SEAL. But at an international security forum Saturday, Spencer said he did not consider a tweet to be in order, and it would take a formal order to stop the Navy Review Board, which is set to meet December 2nd, to consider Gallagher's case. Gallagher was acquitted of murder in the 2017 stabbing death of a captured Islamic State militant in Iraq, but a military jury did convict him of posing with the corpse. Ben Thomas, Washington.
From Washington, D.C., you're listening to VOA News. More than 36 people are reported dead in a series of security-related incidents in Afghanistan, including a fatal attack on a UN vehicle in the capital of Kabul. Several of the dead are civilians. Afghan officials said Sunday that Taliban rebels assaulted a security outpost in central Daikundi province overnight, killing 8 soldiers and wounding 4 others. Senior provincial authorities claimed the ensuing firefight also killed at least 20 assailants, though the Taliban disputed those claims. Meanwhile, doctors and residents in western Farah province said an Afghan government airstrike has killed at least 9 civilians and injured several others. A survivor of the Hiroshima atomic bombing has shaken hands with Pope Francis, who gently placed his hand on her head for a blessing. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Yoshiko Kashimoto, who developed stomach cancer and leukemia due to radiation from the August 6, 1945 bombing, said after meeting Francis that she works hard to bear witness that we must not use such demonic atomic bombs again, nor let anyone in the world endure such suffering. Kashimoto then asks, do we still need nuclear weapons, even after you see all this? She's among many bombing survivors who are frustrated with the refusal of Japan, which is under the US nuclear umbrella, to sign the nuclear weapons ban treaty. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
New York billionaire Michael Bloomberg formally launched his Democratic presidential bid today. AP correspondent Julie Walker.
The former New York City mayor made the announcement on his campaign website, writing, "I'm running for president to defeat Donald Trump and rebuild America. We cannot afford 4 more years of President Trump's reckless and unethical actions. He represents an existential threat to our country and our values. If he wins another term in office, we may never recover." Bloomberg's entrance just 10 weeks before primary voting begins reflects his concerns that the current slate of candidates is not well positioned to defeat Trump. Bloomberg also has the personal wealth to make himself a force. He's already reserved more than $30 million in TV ads. Julie Walker, New York.
There's a presidential election taking place in Guinea-Bissau. Incumbent José Mario Vaz is among the 12 candidates vying to lead the West African country. He's the first democratically elected president in Guinea-Bissau's history to finish his term. He's up for re-election but is facing stiff competition from several opponents. If no candidate receives more than 50% of the vote, another vote will be held next month. And security forces on Sunday raided the offices of one of Egypt's last remaining independent media outlets. They briefly detained its top editor and 2 other journalists. The raid is the latest in a widening government crackdown on dissent. Marissa Melton, VOA News.